Let's talk about Anthony Geary. So Anthony Geary, who y'all know is famous for playing Luke Spencer over there on General Hospital, has passed away at the good old age of 78 years old. And I don't know if y'all knew this, but Anthony was also one of the girls, as in he's a homosexual. He had a husband and everything. We'll get into that to you in a minute. So the actor died on Sunday, December 14th, following complications from an operation 3 days prior. See, this is what be scaring me about operations. Y'all be going to the doctor and you be thinking you're gonna be great, and then all of a sudden complications happen. But I guess that's always the risk. They said it was a shock for me and our families and our friends. Gary's husband, Claudio Gama, told the outlet in a statement. For more than 30 years, Tony has been my friend, my companion, my husband. He was best known for playing Luke Spencer on General Hospital, a role he originated on the soap in 1978. Luke was ultimately paired with Jeannie Francis's Laura, and together they became daytime's biggest super couple. Oh, I remember hearing the stories about that. They said in 1981, the wedding was watched by 30 million people in the most watched episode in soap opera history. Gary left the series in 2015. I'm like, damn, so he's been off the show for 10 years? I didn't even know that. So hold on, because I'm like, y'all probably didn't see what his husband looked like. So I was like, let me pull that picture up. So yeah, that's his little thing on the side. So now in a separate statement, ABC Entertainment noted that his performance as Luke Spencer helped define General Hospital in daytime television. Anthony captivated audiences for decades and earned a record 8 Daytime Emmy Awards. The 1981 Luke and Laura wedding was a landmark moment that drew tens of millions of viewers and became part of television history. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his loved ones and colleagues. Geary was born in Colville, Utah in 1947. His birth name was Tony. He changed it to Ant. That's crazy that his birth name was Tony, because when you think about Tony, Tony is short for Anthony, but his parents named him Tony. But he said he changed it to Anthony in 1978. He said, I had a happy childhood. My family was always close. But early on, they realized I wasn't of this earth, that I wouldn't follow my father's lead. In school, I was always the artistic loner. Hold on. So I was like, I'm actually pulling up the People magazine article. Oh, y'all forgot? I forgot Demi Moore was on General Hospital in 1982, because they had a picture of her in here for the People magazine article. So, he said he got a theater scholarship from the University of Utah, and during his sophomore year, he was cast in the touring company of the play. The subject was Roses, which took him to Los Angeles. He stayed and looked for work as an actor, saying, "I was cocky and confident." Gary's early career consisted mostly of guest roles on TV shows. He appeared on an early episode of Lord All in the Family. He was on there as a homosexual man who challenges Archie Bunker's homophobia. Other shows on which he made guest appearances during the 70s included The Streets of San Francisco, Room 222, Marcus Welby, MD, The Partridge Family, Barnaby Jones, Starsky and Hutch, and the soap opera The Young and the Restless. I had a friend who loved The Young and the Restless. Now they said in '78, Geary was hired to join General Hospital in what was meant to be a 13-week stint. The series was close to cancellation. Damn, I did not know that they were planning on canceling. And like 47 years ago, they were planning on canceling General Hospital. So they said the series was close to cancellation, but executive producer Gloria Monty was taking big swings to turn it around, and Luke became a central part of that. One of his co-stars was Demi Moore, who played Jackie Templeton. Luke was the sister of Bobby Spencer, played by, shout out to Jacqueline Zeman, because she passed away recently too. So may she rest in peace. Now, in the beginning, Luke Spencer was a complete bastard. This is what he told people in 1980. He was a cheap little punk who managed a disco and was a doper runner for the mafia. He was a real killer, but over time, his character became sympathetic and witty, thanks in large part to his romance with Francis's Laura, who he actually R-worded. So that was kind of like weird how they did that. It's like, you marry your rapist. But they said, but the romance, which was beloved by millions of fans, had an ignominious start. Luke R-worded Laura only for them to fall in love, saying, I've had to justify it for so many years. Francis told people and on ABC's 2020 documentary, The Story of Soaps of the Storyline. And I have to say, it feels good to sit here and say, I won't justify it. It's awful. They shouldn't have done it. And that's what I was thinking too. It's like, yeah, that's an awful way to do it. It's like he sexually assaulted Laura Spencer, and then they end up getting married. Like that was just crazy to me. To me, it was just like have him be like a little punk or whatever, who falls in love with like this meek girl or whatever the case is, and she kind of makes him a better man. I thought like they could have played up into that, but child, it was the '80s. There was a lot of problematic storylines the '80s and '90s when it came to the soaps. There was a lot of problematic things that was going on in them soap days. But child, it was when I would have to sit there as a kid and I'd be watching with my mother. She would be watching her ABC soaps. She loved Ryan's Hope, All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital, The City, and also was The City the one where eventually they try to turn into Passions, where they had the vampires and all kinds of other stuff on it. I actually kind of like that twist that they did with The City. I think it was where it was like, oh no, it was Port Charles. That's what it was. Port Charles was the show where they tried to go all supernatural with the franchise. But let me see if there's any. Oh, then they also mentioned about the wedding, and I forgot Elizabeth Taylor actually appeared on the episode. I mean, on the show as Helena Cassadine because she was a massive fan of the show. Now, people still see daytime TV as the bastard of the industry, but the fact that Elizabeth Taylor chose to come here because she's a fan must mean we're doing something right. This is what he told people in '81. It validated General Hospital for me. And not only that, but wasn't it always like a lot of remember, if I'm not mistaken, on All My Children, one of them shows, oh wait, no, but I think General Hospital, they always had like big stars that would come on and be a part of it. Remember, well, I guess he wasn't really like big-ish. Ricky Martin came out of General Hospital, where he was part of Menudo and all that other stuff. And yeah, he was kind of carving out his solo career at that time. But he was on General Hospital. They had a lot of famous people that came out of those shows. First of all, there's a lot of famous people who started out in soaps. So the fact that they had that in there from that a lot of people they did try to treat I will agree with that. They did treat soaps like, oh, these people, they can't act, it's a stepping stone. That was always another thing. They used to be pissed when you would say that, oh, it's a stepping stone to get to something bigger and better. No, you're just happy that you can get work. You shouldn't look at a soap as, oh, it's a stepping stone for me to get to do those A-list movies for Steven Spielberg. Like, get off my line with that. To me, it's like the one thing I love about soaps compared to other things, it trains you how to memorize a lot of lines because you literally have a day to shoot an episode and it moves so quick with all the pages of dialogue you have to memorize. So for people to kind of take soaps for granted in that way, I feel like it's a good training to get you to like taking a lot of dialogue or memorizing scripts. They said he was open about how much work it took to put the show together 5 days a week. In the last 3 years, I've given my life to this show, physically, emotionally, spiritually. The work is harder than on primetime TV. Jeannie and I have carried as much as 60 pages of dialogue a day, 4 to 5 days a week. No nighttime show, no film makes those demands. Absolutely. And that's what I was saying. Like people sit up here and talk so much shit about soaps. These are the hardest working people in the business. You're literally who can memorize 60 pages of dialogue? Not no regular actor. You ain't never gonna see Sylvester Stallone or what the hell's his name? Or a Glenn Powell or a Sidney Sweeney. You ain't gonna see them memorize 60 pages. But these people that be doing these soaps is like the amount of dialogue they have to memorize, and you only get a certain amount of takes, and you have to film all that in a day. So he was somebody who was humbled. He was somebody who loved what he did and all that other stuff. But now the other thing I want to get to before we wrap this up is Jeannie Francis, since we were talking about her, she has talked about she weighed in on the fact that he passed away and basically said that yeah, she's devastated by the loss. So shout out to Entertainment Weekly for this story. Um After Claudio Gama, Geary's husband, confirmed the news of his death to TV Insider, sharing that the soap star died Sunday in the Netherlands following an operation 3 days earlier. Oh yeah, because they didn't live in they lived in Amsterdam, from what I heard. Child, the amount of weed that you can smoke out there, and I think homosexual marriage is legalized. I'd like to live in the Netherlands. They got some cute men's out there. Anyway, he said so it was a shock for me and our families and our friends. That's what he said. For more than 30 years, he's been our friend, blah, blah, blah. Now, Francis took to Twitter on Monday afternoon to honor Geary, writing, "This morning I woke up and into my husband's arms. In my sleep, my life was flashing before me and I was afraid of death. An hour later, I received a call from Frank Valentini, who told me Tony died. I immediately felt remorse. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but I felt his life end in my sleep last night, and with it, a big part of me and mine." So she's saying that she felt something um, happen within her and thought that it was my life flash. And I was like, no, you, someone who you were connected with for so long in your like your film husband, you felt him like pass away. And you couldn't make sense of it until you got the phone call. But she went and continued. He was a powerhouse as an actor, shoulder to shoulder with the greats. No star burned brighter than Tony Geary. He was one of a kind. As an artist, he was filled with passion for the truth, no matter how blunt or even a little rude, it might be, but always hilariously funny. Francis went on to call Geary the anti hero, similar to his on screen character Luke Spencer, who was known for his roguish charm. She said, "Working with him was always exciting. You never knew what might happen. He spoiled me for leading. He spoiled me for leading men for the rest of my life. I am crushed. I will miss him terribly, but I was so lucky to be his partner. Somehow, somewhere, we are connected to each other because I felt him leave last night. Good night, sweet prince. Good night." So, um, yeah, that was her comment. And another one we lost. R.I.P. Tony. And as far as Claudio Gama, I couldn't imagine what it's like to be a widow, but may, hopefully you get the I don't know what to say in this point. It's just like I just hope you find peace with whatever has been happening so far, because it's always sad when you lose a loved one, whether it's a husband, a child, a father, anybody that you're emotionally or just connected to on a higher plane. So shout out to you, Tony Geary. You will be missed. You definitely did your big one for General Hospital. And the fact that you pretty much single-handedly saved that show from cancellation. I didn't even know that. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story when you hear in the news that we had lost an icon within the soap opera world, the late, great Tony Geary? So whatever your thoughts are on this story, let me know in the comments down below.